think I'm live and I'm about to hurt my finger. So I'm coming on live. I'm not expecting anybody to come on because this is early for me. But I knew that if I didn't go live, I probably wouldn't record it. So this is, I'm going to kind of do a little update, hoping to get some comments and some feedback later. I'm sitting down just after my morning quiet time, and you may hear my family moving around because that's the nature of my household. So I'm sitting on the floor doing my Bible journaling, and I just finished. I have a little bit more to do that I was going to do hopefully while I talk, because I'm capturing some thoughts. And as I was doing the journaling, I know some people asked me about it, so I was going to show some pictures of that. But I had this thought, and so I thought I'd come on. As I do it, I may tell you all a little bit about what I'm doing. I'm working through the 100 days of Less Hustle, More Jesus. And one of the things that I did while I was doing this journaling process is I was not able to sit down every day and kind of do any type of art journaling in here. So I just had different areas where I knew I was going to go back and add content to later. And that's what I was doing this morning. The thing that I'm working on at this exact moment is about rest. The beginning of this book, I'm going to just read a little bit. It says, guess what? You don't need an invitation to rest. You don't need someone to give you permission. And you don't have to prove that you deserve it. You are worthy, always. Not just on the days when you feel like you've done enough or finally gotten things right. You are worthy because you are divinely created and infinitely loved. Can you hear that still small voice calling you home to your heart? Jesus knows that the deepest love and the greatest transformation begin at his feet. Find your way there so often as often as you can. He delights in your presence and longs to give you rest. And what I told myself is that I was going to just have the word rest on the page and write some scriptures around it. So as I do this, one of the things that I have been struggling with is what to do with this channel. And as I think about what to do with this channel, I have recently joined a cohort of creators that want to either create on YouTube or they're already creating on YouTube. And while we were in there, we kind of get together, talk about what we want to do, and we can share that with each other. What I'm doing right now is I have the scriptures written that I want to add on here. I have my Bible app on my phone, and I identified the scriptures using this book. Let me know if you have questions about it. Good morning. How are you? So I'm writing down these scriptures. So back to the story. So I'm in this cohort. We talk about what we want to do with our channels, the direction we want to go in. And I shared with them yesterday, because we meet once a week, that I really want to make this change on my channel. And I've talked about it before. I just don't know how to do it. A lot of them think it's kind of funny because I think of a lot of them, well, probably of a big bunch of them, I'm one of the only established channels. There's a few others, but I've been doing this a little bit. So me trying to make this transition and being confused about the transition may be slightly comical. And so as we were talking about it, one of the members of the group said, just tell your people, tell your peeps, I don't know where I want to go with this, and open up the invitation of feedback or whatever. So that's kind of where I am right now. And as I was doing this journaling, I thought about that, thought about in this sense of rest. And as I was resting, what do I really want to bring to my channel? And what is the lasting impression that I want you to have of me, and that I want to bring to this space? And I think a lot of times, as a creative person, I am a creative person just in general and in my being, then it makes it so that it's always creation. A lot of times is about an end goal, right? Like you cut up the fabric because you want to put it back together to make a quilt, or you buy these pieces, these skeins of yarn, and you put it together because you want to knit a sweater or you want to crochet a blanket, and this end goal is something that's complete. And the reality is that that end goal in our lives, it won't happen until the good Lord says it's going to happen. And when it happens, we are done here because our work is done. Like our assignment is complete. And so I think when I think about rest and resting in where I am and resting in where I'm going and having a resolve that it's okay for there to be a journey and okay to have a separation between those two places of where I am and where I want to go, makes it a little bit easier, right? To sit and think about and to rest in knowing that it's going to be done. And so, with that said, I'd love to get feedback from y'all of what you'd like to see. One of the things that I'm working on and I believe I want to bring here is more craft vlogging, and like I was doing before as I'm working in between projects. I also would love to bring just process videos as I'm doing a project that I think I told you all about before. And I'll tell you more about the project once I'm like literally doing it, because right now I'm not doing it yet. I'm still in that setup phase and I'm giving myself room and space to set up because this is my life, right? Okay. So, let me know in the comments. I know that what will happen is that I'm going to be playing with some stuff in how I want to do it, when I want to do it, the tools that I want to use to do it. And I look forward to bringing it, but knowing that it makes me nervous. It makes me super nervous. It makes me so nervous. And I think the nervousness comes from knowing that, I have people here that are here for a reason. And, you never want to feel like, oh, you're here for this particular reason, and then all of a sudden people just switch gears. Like, I don't want that to happen. But I also feel like people change. People change and they evolve. And I've been fortunate that a lot of you have changed and evolved with me. And that as I picked up new crafts and that as I've done new things, you have been there. And you have picked up new things and you have changed and you have found that there are different things that you can do. And I hope that I have been a positive influence, and that I have used my space and my time and your time well. That's what I hope and I pray for. And that it's always a space where when you come into this space, you feel good about being there, right? So I'm writing right now this last scripture, and it says, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest." I've always loved this passage because a lot of times in life we feel like I've got to take a break, or you're waiting on some outside thing to give you a break or to give you permission to have a break. And we learn here that God is the one that gives us rest. This is Christ. He gives us the rest. And so I've always loved that. One of the things that I don't want to, what I want to do is to give this sense. I'm going to back up a little bit. One of the reasons why I started really moving more in the space of crafting in general was because I had this kind of freak out moment in my life. I'm gonna say freak out. People can call it whatever. I just had a sense of crisis in my life for this window of time. And in that crisis, I had to find a way in my heart to get back to a place of peace because I was not in peace. I was very much heartbroken. I was, as scripture calls it, weary. I was unsure. I was uncertain. I was not scared because I knew that everything would work out for my good. But in that moment, I wanted it to be over. I wanted it to be over, but it wasn't over. Have you ever been there? Like you want this thing to be done already. Like you just want to keep saying, I've learned the lesson. Can we move on already? And life was saying, no, you can't move on. And I didn't understand why I couldn't move on. And and so instead of continuing to like pound my head against the concrete, as as a metaphor, I had to figure out how can you sit in this space and not lose your mind and not go outside of yourself, meaning like become an angry person, become a bitter person, because those things are not me. And to not shut down, because that is something I do. I will, if I things get to be too crazy, I shut down. Like I go inside. And even though it may seem so weird because I'm always like bubbly, because I am that too. I am an introvert. I'm just an introvert that loves on people, and that gives me this extrovert kind of quality. But I can sit in my own space on my lonesome like 100% and like be in heaven, right? And so, how can I sit in that space and not shut down and not stop loving people and not stop loving myself? And when I was in that space, that's when I picked up crafting again. I learned how to crochet and all of that as a child. And I'm sitting at an angle to, the glare. I had learned crafting as a child. And I always used to love to draw. I always loved to craft with words. I was poetry and short stories. I loved to draw. And I would do all this stuff by myself with music. I used to do it with records. And so when I found myself in that space, that's when I started crafting again. And that's when I started leaning into it. And that's when I learned that, oh, you can use crafting and pray. And you can use crafting to meditate. And you can use like all of these things. And I don't think I've ever shared that on this channel. And that's why a lot of times when people say, oh, there's something like different, that's why. Like, and I know I've said that, like, it's not me. It's me, but it's not me. It's knowing that when I'm doing these things, allowing me to go deeper in my relationship with Christ, but it's also allowing me to express and get rid of those things, or to identify those things that need to be, as scripture says, like you need to capture your thoughts. You take a hold of your thoughts and you allow those thoughts to become subjected to Christ. And that's what I was doing. And I didn't know at the time that's what I was doing. I was just trying to relieve a thing off of my shoulder and off of my heart so that I would not turn into a person that I did not want to be, that would not be the representation of me that showed up in my life. And so that's when I began to write more. That's when I began to craft more. That's when I began to crochet more. And I feel as though we are in a time and a season in our lives. And yes, this video is a little more serious, y'all. Just rock with me. We are in a time and a season in our lives, especially for a lot of people that watch this channel, because we are of a particular age, right? We are of a particular age that we've got to be mindful of how we show up in our lives. We can't keep giving permission to other people and to other things as to how we feel about who we are, how we look, how we talk, how we operate, how we move. And I don't think that it's ever intentional, as in, I want you to tell me what I think about myself. No. But it happens because there's so many outside influences. And if you continue to move and move and move, and you continue to have these different things and influences infiltrate your life, and they surround you, and you don't have a way to stand up in that space and say, this is what I believe, this is what I'm doing, this is where I'm going, then all of those things, when something infiltrates something else, it takes over. I'm not a historian. I don't know a lot about that. But if you even look in scripture, you read books and you hear about wars and you watch footage, the reason why someone is trying to go in and infiltrate a area is because they're trying to take it over. The reason why things go in and infiltrate and take out is because they want to wipe away any existence, any memory, so that the only thing that stands is them. And when they stand, then you begin to take on the essence of, the appearance of, the image of those things. So then my question then comes, then how do you stand up in your life? Dana? You? How do you stand up in your life? And when you cannot stand, what do you do next? Right? Because that's why people tap out. That's why people bow out. That's why people go to other things. They go to drugs. They go to women. They go to men. They go to, people want to take their lives. They get depressed. Like, because it's like, how do I stand up in this space? And if I don't have an answer, yet I'm still required to function, then what? How do we get here? Because I was talking about rest. So when I was in that space, crafting allowed me to move in that space. It allowed me to think about where I was and where I wanted to be, and to decide how to close that gap. That's what it did. So then now it's not always as bad, or as it's not a crisis the way that it was then, but it doesn't mean that I don't battle with ensuring that I'm in an even kill, like I'm good, right? And so I'm saying all this to say, with this platform, I believe that there is a responsibility that I have, in a sense, to introduce some of this. It's not every day, it's not all the time, and I'm watching my time, but I believe that watching how you do it on a day to day, again, when you are of a particular age, and that I am a person that has a business, and I have family, and I have children, and I'm married, how? Like, how do we do that? How do we do it realistically? How do we do it when we want to make changes? How do we do it when things are good? How do we do it when things are not so good? And as I'm going through this, I'd love to get feedback. Yes, there are going to be some things on here about my hair, which is wrapped up. I've got an experiment going on in here. And I am going to bring this stuff about the journaling, because I told you all that I would. And I just ask you to rock with me. If you're watching it, thumbs it up. Subscribe to the channel. Tell somebody else that needs to hear this. And that's going to help to bring a new light and a new sense of movement to the space. And what I have to do is not get caught up in the fact that my lighting is sometimes off, and that my glare is on my glasses, and that it's got to be a perfect background. As you see behind me today, it's a quilt I made for my husband. And knowing that it really is at the heart of it about the content. That's it. Like, that's it. Me and what I'm saying to you. So I'm going to show you all, and then I'm going to get off of here. I'm behind because I'm not trying to do this every day. That was the other thing that I'm embracing, is imperfect execution. So I have to remind myself that this does not have to be perfect. This is my life. And my life is not perfect, right? But this is allowing me to get to a place. So I'm going to show you. Number one, the thing that I did is I took this book that was regularly bound, and I put it on disc. If anything that I say today that you want to me to explore or ask questions or do something separate on, put it in the comment section. I put it on disc. So I took the spine off, cut the spine off. Y'all, I did surgery on this book because I wanted to be able to hold the book open and lay it flat. And then I'm going to put this page back in and we'll go through the days. I've only done through, I think, the art portions through 1 week. Yeah. It's taken me almost a month to do 1 week, but that's what it is. So the first day, so here's day 1. And I'm still finishing it. Here's day 1. I just put rest, and over here I have some definitions and some scriptures. And over here I'm going to write the rest of the rest scriptures around this rest. Here's day 2. This is a sticker. And what I did is this was... It is. Thank you, Lisa. On here, what I did is I used some watercolors and some stamping. This woman, okay, because sometimes this is what happens when you get what they call ephemera. Some people call die cuts. A lot of them are not always people of color. So what I did is with this lady is I made her skin brown because I wanted it to kind of represent me, and I darkened her hair and I made it seem kind of like, if you look close, like she has locks. And what I did here is on the back here as representing me, I put all the different things that you can carry on your back and that you may need to surrender. So like worry, your future, timing, finances, your dreams, your spouse, like all these different things. And then in her hand, I added the word peace onto her mug. And what I do is I like to kind of put the art elements and I journal around them. Yeah. This is day 3, which is a light bulb. Another thing that I do a lot of is I'll put post-it notes. I look up definitions and scriptures. I write them out and I use different colors to kind of signal different things. Not like a color coding system, but more so of connecting like the definition with the words is in the actual, because here in this section is the devotional. Here is day 4, which is take every thought captive and obey Christ. This is a stamp, and inside the bottles I wrote words. This one I put fear and doubt, unbelief, to take those thoughts captive. I used here stamps, stickers, washi tape. I'm still learning about all of that. That's not normally like my normal medium. I'm learning. Day 5, which is just be you. And I did like, I guess kind of like a picture of myself. This, I use watercolors, stickers, colored pencils. On this one, I put one of my favorite scriptures, which is Psalms 139, 13 through 14. For you created my innermost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Day 6, I used watercolors and colored pencils. One of the things that I've been having a lot of fun with is when I sketch out a drawing around the outside, I actually write the verse that I'm focusing on, and sometimes I just write elements of the verse and I will tie in different translations and different key portions in different ways using the different translations. So for example, if one translation says he restores, another one may say he renews, another one says he refreshes, and I'll use that and put it all around the image. So that means like while I'm actually crafting, or while I'm drawing or coloring or filling it in or tracing, it's kind of embedding those words into my mind, like a form of meditation. And this is day 7. And with this, It is a drawing in watercolors, and I journaled in this area. This was very interesting. One of the scriptures, it said in Psalms 23:3, it says, He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. And then I looked up the word guide, and it says to assist a person reach a destination, to travel through. Wait, it says to assist a person to travel through to reach a destination in an unfamiliar area, as by accompanying directions. This is what happens when you write words around. But it says, as by accompanying or giving directions to the person, or to show points of interest, and to explain their meaning or significance. And I thought that was important, and I'll end on that. That's day 7. That's the last one that I have where I've actually done the art. I thought that was important. And a good place to end. What does it mean to be a guide? And it's in here it's saying that, you're helping someone essentially to go from one place to another. You're either giving them directions or you're accompanying them. And it says that you can give things a point of interest or to explain the meaning or significance of where you are, where you're going, right? And I think that's kind of what this is, right? If at the end of the day, I can be a guide or a light, right, to the next place, then I would have served a really great purpose. What is the name of the book? The book is 100 Days of Less Hustle, More Jesus. And it doesn't look like this. But, and I do have another video, a couple of videos back, where I did put the link because someone asked. But yes, it's the original way that an entry would look is like this, where there is a devotional and then there's places to journal. I'm finding that I am picking out stuff that's not even really here once I read the verses, but I think that's normal. So that is it. I feel like I will close this with saying thank you for joining me. Don't forget to give this a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see what I have going on. If you have any suggestions or things you would like to see, please place those in the comment section. I'd love, 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 especially after the video goes live, to be able to read those. And I see myself bringing vlogging and some other things to this channel, especially as I embark in this next phase of a project that I'm working on, whether it's like a little behind the scenes. Yes, I have the first one. I forgot the name. I haven't used it yet. Oh, yes, because she has several of these books. It's like 100 Days of God's Promises. Oh, here, wait. I thought I saved the page, but I didn't. It's like 100 Days of God's Promises, 100 Days of Gratitude, and I think it's one more, and it may not be. I am enjoying this book. I'm enjoying it a lot, and it may be, again, because it's like an opportunity to stop, like really stop. And so that's all that I have for you today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, thumbs the video up. Thank you for joining me. Look out for more content, and I'm gonna keep doing the stuff that I already have, but it'll be just some sprinkling of new stuff, especially as I interact with my new the new cohort that I'm in. I would love to be able to explore different things, not necessarily, I guess I was going to say with cinematography, like different angles and different things, but it may be just talking head videos of just sitting down like this. And so that's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I will talk with you all hopefully sooner than later. Take care and goodbye. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad. It let me know I'm not crazy, girl. Have a great day, sis. All right, y'all. See you next time.